Well, hello there, and welcome to the video. So, I just got done watching Star Trek Picard Season 3, Episode 4. I have my mood light for those of you who have not seen videos from my channel before, aside from the last couple of episodes where I've actually had to move house in between. The mood light gives a general indication of what I thought of the episode. If it's green, it's great. If it's red, it's bad. And if it's blue, I'm kind of 50-50. I am kind of 50-50, spoiler alert. Now, I smiled more than I frowned with this episode. And afterwards, I sat there for 5 minutes just alone, quiet, and thinking, why did I smile so much? And I think that's got something to do with the sheer amount of nostalgia that's in this episode. Memories, the member berries, you know, they're here. Do you remember that? Oh, do you remember? Do you remember Commander Riker? Yeah, I remember. Now, I'm going to go through the episode. I'm not going to go completely blow by blow, but I am going to take you through the episode. So, spoiler alert. Spoilers are coming. Okay, so the episode opens 5 years ago, and Picard's in a bar, and he's trying to eat his dinner, and he's interrupted by a bunch of young cadets. I believe they're cadets. I don't think they're actually officers yet, who want to hear about all his stories. So he's pretty much like, my dinner's getting cold, but I suppose you could gather round and I will tell you some stories about me and my fantastic adventures. One of the cadets actually references him being hunted by the Herosian, and I'm thinking, okay, there's member berry number one, the Herosian. Hey, remember the Herosian? Yeah, I remember the Herosian, and it turns out that they hunted Picard. Who knew? The man who has a target on his back, he was hunted by the Herosian. Super. Anyway, the flashback continues. He's telling stories about, how fantastic he was. It cuts to the Titan, which is basically falling into the gravity well of the alien nebula cloud thing, which is like the Voyager episode Cloud, or The Cloud, which I referenced in a previous video. The scene on the bridge, I won't go into too much detail, but it's basically telling you that there's no hope of getting out of this, and they're all going to suffocate because life support will eventually fail. In between all of this, the Titan's getting hit by some kind of wave, and this wave kind of sends everything back into the good old days of Star Trek, where there's better lighting, like there is in this video compared to my last video. Much better lighting. You know why? Because people like to see what's happening on screen. So it's much better lighting for a split second, and then it goes dark again. So these pulses kind of like charge the ship, but it's not enough. It's only kind of like a temporary power surge. But yeah, the Titan's screwed. It's heading into a gravity well, and everyone's gonna die. So Riker goes and visits Picard and says, look, mate, I'm sorry I bit your head off. I just wanted to do you a solid and tell you that, we're pretty much dead. And if you want to make amends with your son, go and do it now, because you won't have any time later on. And he sort of gets a half apology for having his head bitten off, which is, I believe, the first time in Star Trek Picard they've actually apologized to Picard for talking to him like a bag of shit. But it was half an apology, so I don't think it counts. This episode, as you can see by my little screenshot here, is called No Win Scenario. You're in the no win scenario. It might as well have been called the Kobayashi Maru. There would have been a member berry for us again, to go with the 100 other member berries that we've got so far. Cuts away to 7 of 9, and she's hunting. She's hunting for the Changeling infiltrator, and she finds the body of the transporter officer that the shapeshifter murdered and made themselves look like. So Seven's talking to Riker, and Riker says, no, I'm not going to reinstate you because you're more useful to me. Unreinstated. I need you to hunt down this Changeling, but don't tell anyone, because it will panic and make everything worse, and the Changeling will know we're onto him, even though the Changeling already knows that they're onto him, because, Seven and thingy me. Anyway, Picard goes and visits Jack, and he says, oh yeah, wouldn't ring, Beverly, if I wouldn't mind if I had some time with my son. Just some time alone, for a few moments, nothing more. I just want to take him down the pub and show him how to drink. And then we cut to Shaw, and Seven visits Shaw, basically says, I need your help. You got to help me. And Shaw agrees, reluctantly, because, Shaw's a bit of a dick. Jack and Picard
go to the holodeck, and you get all the nice little holodeck noises. You know, the Titan's a little bit of a hodgepodge of different things itself, isn't it, really? Because the Titan looks like a ship from original series movies mixed with 25th century technology. It's kind of got the same holodeck doors as the Enterprise D, so it's like they got a bunch of spare parts and thought, hey, we'll make a nostalgia ship. And Jack doesn't want to really answer any questions as to why Picard, he didn't want Picard in his life. That does get answered later in the episode, and a very sort of ooh, ouch kind of moment. And I actually did say that. Shaw tells 7 of 9 that in order to locate a shapeshifter, you're going to have to find his bucket. And we get a little screenshot of Odo there and Odo's bucket, because all shapeshifters have to go into a bucket every 16 hours. I just thought that was a Bajoran bucket. It was like a plant bucket that he's like, yeah, that'll do. I'll just shapeshift into that, and it will contain me, stop me from spreading out all over the floor. It turns out that all shapeshifters, when they're off-world, have a bucket, and it looks like Odo's bucket. Who knew? But Shaw says if you can find the bucket, then you get the residue, you can scan for the residue and locate the shapeshifter. Even though you'd be able to scan, because they scanned changelings before, they'd already have that information. I'm probably being pedantic. We cut to the sheath, scimitar thing, whatever it's called, the sheik. I honestly can't remember the name of this ship, but it's leaving the nebula life form thingamajig, and Vadik cuts her hand off, and it turns to goo, and that goo talks to her. So she's either a changeling or she's part changeling, or I'm not going to speculate. The series will answer that, I'm no doubt, in the next couple of episodes. Vadik says, I don't want to go in the nebula because it's too dangerous. The shape-shifting head thing, communicating with her, just says, no, you go in, you're expendable, go in. I'm not really doing it justice, but it does say, you go in, you're expendable, you go and find them. Suicide, you don't make it, fine, we'll just get someone else to do it. The transmission ends, and she jettisons the portal device, because the portal device is so unstable. That's probably what could kill her crew. Cuts back to 5 years ago, and Picard is still having a conversation with the cadets, and then it cuts back to the bar. The crew come into the bar, and the crew of the Titan are all very young, I think. There aren't very many sort of older folk on the Titan. Crush is noticing that the space cloud is pregnant, and it's going to give birth to something. She's counting contractions, essentially. That's what these energy pulses are, that are making everything look like proper Star Trek. Seven's got her bucket. She's found the bucket, encounters the changeling, who kills one of the crew members, and actually scuttles off into a vent. Now, I mentioned in my last video that the shapeshifters actually look a little different. I think they actually look like raw, uncut meat. You know, kind of fatty steak. They look like fatty steak. Picard and Jack are still talking, and Picard's talking about his namesake, Beverly's ex-husband, Jack, and one of the mishaps and misadventures they got into, and Shaw comes in. Now, I knew this was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. I don't know, I can't remember whether I mentioned it in one of my previous videos, but Shaw has exactly the same issue with Picard that Sisko had with Picard in the first episode, Emissary of Deep Space Nine, which again, it means it's just retreading and rehashing old ground. There's nothing new here. It's the same kind of story, except Shaw is still very bitter. He doesn't like Picard. He's got good motivation for not liking Picard, granted, but it was already done. This storyline was already done. And yeah, Picard is bound to face these problems over and over again with people who haven't moved on. But I think in terms of a story, it's getting quite tired now. He does deliver a really good emotional kind of little rant. And he's very well done. The actor did a fantastic job with that. And I actually liked that scene, although it being quite derivative at this point. Picard leaves, and he's like,
No, it's okay. He's got every right to be angry. I'm just going to walk away.
And then Crusher runs into them both and says, look, this is having contractions. She says, I think we can use this to escape the peril, the doom that we're all facing. They go to Riker. Riker's not convinced. He's actually quite pessimistic about the plan, and they have a good inspirational moment where they say, we're a team, we can do anything because we're amazing and awesome. And you know what? They are amazing and awesome. At least they were in the Next Generation. They hatched this plan to use these contraction waves to charge the ship, but they need to get the nacelles open to charge the ship. So they send Shaw and 7 of 9 to go and open the nacelles to be able to collect the energy. Shaw and 7, the banter between them, the back and forth between them is actually really good, and I really did like it. And I'm warming up to Shaw. He's actually he's actually just a dick at times, but he's turning out to be quite a likable one. Picard takes the chair again, which is the best moment of Picard so far, I think, where Picard actually takes the chair, and he's, you know, he looks comfortable in it, which is good. We get to hear Picard say engage, which I thought, well, you know, yeah, okay, that's great. We get to see Picard say engage. Shaw and 7 of 9 encounter the shapeshifter. It's a little scene. I kind of liked it, and it is Ensign LaForge comes down, and it's not Ensign LaForge because they asked for no help. They said we don't need any help, and the shapeshifter is killed. Shaw asks, well, how did you know that it was her? She says, well, she called me Commander Hansen, not 7 of 9, because she calls me 7 of 9 out of respect for me. And Shaw sort of goes, yeah, fair point, touche, and all that, which is fair enough. They have a scene where they're working together to get out of the anomaly. It's nothing we haven't seen before. Again, nothing we haven't seen before. But I can't lie. I kind of enjoyed it. I did. But I'm going to go more to that point just after I've done this basic breakdown. They escape the nebula, but not before encountering Valek again, and Riker throws an asteroid at her, at the ship, and Valek's ship is disabled. It's going to take hours to repair. She's pissed off, and there's a nice touching kind of Star Trek moment towards the end where, you know, it feels like Star Trek again. They, you know, they're seeking out new life, and there's new life because the nebula's given birth to space jellyfish, octopus jellyfish in space. Which, you know, is fine because it's Star Trek. You know, you gotta do something with these space life forms. At least they're not unexplained, uncalled, unnamed species 10C, because that would have really pissed me off. There's the one thing that really pissed me off about Discovery was unnamed species 10C or unknown species 10C. What a stupid designation that were. What I thought was quite a nice moment, where the flashback and the current situation sort of merged together in one, because it turns out that Jack was actually in the bar at the time that those cadets were talking to Picard, and he was doing story time. He basically overhears Picard say, "Young lady, Starfleet is all the family I've ever needed." And that's why Jack never really pursued a relationship with Jean and Picard, because he thought that he didn't want a family. Although Picard was probably saying that just to hide the pain of not having a family. And the episode ends with Jack Crusher having these hallucinations about a big red open door and a bunch of kind of Silent Hill-esque vines creeping up the wall behind him. I think they're going to merge it with Silent Hill next. Oh my God. You know, the Enterprise is going to become foggy instead of dark. Anyway, that's the end of the episode, and that's basically what happened. They're in the nebula. They get out of the nebula. This video is just going to be insanely long. I do apologise. This episode, it was good. It was good. I liked it. There was some real moments that made me smile, and I smiled a lot more than I frowned in this episode. However, there was a lot of things that I didn't like. I don't like the mashing up of all the different Star Trek ideas. This doesn't seem like a season of television. It seems like a fan-made love letter, which is fine in itself. If you want to make a fan-made love letter to Star Trek, this is probably what you do. But this is a season of television, and they've gone so heavy with the nostalgia, with the member berries, with the fan service. I think it's drowning it out a little bit, and I'm really not being very receptive to it anymore. It made me smile, you know, all these little hints, all these little references did make me smile, but it wasn't tremendous. It can all get a little bit too much. And I think nostalgia, actually, the nostalgia baiting and all the references will have a bigger effect. I made this point in my last video of, you know, these YouTubers that are binge watching this show. They are You know, they're watching the 10 episodes in bulk and they go, you know what? I really enjoyed that. What a fantastic season of television. Now, I'm not saying it's not good. There are really good elements of Picard, and it's miles better than season 1 and season 2 of Picard. It's infinitely better, but a turd would be infinitely better than those seasons of television. My point is, they've binge-watched all these episodes, one after the other, and it's gone, Member Berry, and they haven't had the time in between. They haven't had the processing time you get from watching it week to week to go, I'm going to go back and watch that again, and I'm going to revisit the episode. Now, Robert Meyer Burnett says he has rewatched the entire season again and again. I would assume he's binge-watched it. And I'm sure that he has stopped and thought about each episode. But when you're doing it compressed like that, you don't have time to think, well, actually, I remember all these member berries from last week's episode, and I'm getting a little tired of it. I felt that it was a decent episode. The show is okay in my book. It's okay. But I'm not okay with it just being okay. I want it to be wowed. And so far, I'm liking it. I'm not thinking, wow, that's fantastic. I'm liking it. Now, I've had some comments saying that, you know, you're in danger of becoming a bit of a shill, Danger Man. I don't think I'm a shill. I don't. I think that I'm enjoying this season. I'm not loving this season. I'm enjoying it. I'm watching it episode by episode. And it is having an effect on me. You know, I'm enjoying it. I am finding something positive in Star Trek Picard, which I never thought I would. The lighting's still dumb and dark, although we do get those brief moments of old Star Trek lighting, which I just hope they get back to. Not everything has to be dark. You know, the Orville did it with bright, luscious sets. Why can't Star Trek do it? A mixture of militaristic and bright. We kick ass, but we're great at designing starships and making sure that you can not bang into 10 things when you get up and take a piss. Overall, the episode was pretty good. I did enjoy it. I was 50-50. There's some of the things that I didn't like. The Cisco Shaw thing, I thought it's just been played out. A lot of the storylines have been played out. There's a bunch of stuff I've missed because there's just too many member berries. There's too much to go through, and it's frustrating as hell. I can tear apart Picard season 2. I'm not going to tear this one a new one the same way I did with that, because there's been some effort put into the story. Does it make a hell of a lot of sense? No. But it is very early on in the season. Now, my wife has expressed an interest in watching more Picard. She's done episode 1 and she says, oh, I think, you know, have you ever thought about doing a reaction video where we both watch it and I give you my honest opinion? You've already seen it, but I haven't. So that's a wonderful idea. So I might do that with the wife. I might get the wife on a video as well and see what she thinks of episode 2, 3, 4. It would be probably Danger Man's wife reacts or something like that. So let me know what you think of that. Now, also on the 24th of March, don't forget, I will be doing a live stream of Resident Evil 4 Remake. I don't do a lot of gaming on this channel. In fact, I rarely do gaming on this channel, but I have done gaming streams before. So I do hope you'll come and join me on March the 24th. I will be streaming that game live, hopefully, if everything goes all right. And don't forget to check out, if you're interested, check out my other channel, UK Danger Man Repairs. I'll put a link in the description and I'll put a card up on the screen. Please feel free to subscribe to that channel if you're looking at getting technical with repairs. I've repaired switch controllers and stuff like that. So feel free to check that out. That's it for this video. Those are my thoughts, my incoherent ramblings on Star Trek Picard episode 4 of season 3. I got enjoyment from it, but this show is not without its problems, and I'm getting tired of getting pounded with member berries. Until the next video, you look after yourselves, you look after one another. Take care. Bye bye for now.
I need the silence, stop the violence of the war in my head. Time's the healer, the eraser of all done and said. And as I fall back to my shelter, I know I'll only find peace in your smile.